Hello everyone. I wanted to do this video as I've had a number of questions about what conscious connected breathwork is and isn't. And because there's so many different types of breathwork, it can feel confusing in sort of understanding what could work for us and what couldn't, in terms of what we want to do and what we don't want to do. So I thought I'd do this video and do some Q&As just to help people make an informed choice, as consent and ethics are really important in practice for me. So conscious connected breathwork is it's a circular breath. I'm not going to go into detail about what it actually is. If you come along to a breathwork session after listening or listening to or watching this video, then I'll give you information about what the actual technique is and how we use that. So I think the first thing on my mind is that when we learn something new, it's always helpful to do that with a trained practitioner. I'm not saying that in terms of you have to come to me. You can go to anybody who is trained, certified and insured. And the reasons for that, my justification for giving that information is that actually there are quite a number of contraindications. Doesn't necessarily mean that people can't breathe in that way, have a conscious connected breathwork journey, but it might mean that there needs to be some adaptations. It might mean that they need some support during or after the journey. And with breathwork and all things new, if we don't have a very safe experience or secure experience first time, it can mean that we don't go back to it. And breathwork is really good for, opening things up and helping us work through when we're supported in the right way. So I'm seeing lots of videos online at the moment about conscious connected breathwork and sort of 10-minute journeys, half an hour journeys that are just sort of videos of what to do, somebody guiding you through it. However, they're not going to be there to actually support you. So if you're going to use something like that, please go along to an in-person session first so that you can get a really good basis and understanding of how your body reacts to what is happening and what you need to do. The more that we do these things, it's practice and it's work. It's breath work. It's called breath work for a reason. It is work. The more we do something, the more we understand our relationship to it and also our response to what is happening. And also the other thing to mention in those videos, and maybe with practitioners, I'm not sure, I haven't breathed on any practitioners that haven't given this information, but have heard of people that have, is that breathing in this way can alter our physiological states. And we need to understand why that happens sometimes so that we can actually make sense of what's happening. Although breath work, or this type of breath work, conscious connected breath work, isn't always about making sense of things, it's about experiencing. So it takes us into our body to experience memories and process experiences and also heal those, make sense of those experiences in a different way. It's really difficult to explain because it's so unique for everybody who does breath work, and each journey is unique as well. But it really is unique, and we need to understand why that happens sometimes. I'm not saying we need to have that conversation every time we go into a breathe, but certainly have an understanding of that, and also being reassured that the practitioner we're working with has an understanding of why that happens is reassuring for us, because we know that we're going to be well supported during a breathwork session. So some of the questions that I've been asked, I'm going to start with the first one, which is how long should I breathe in this way? Okay, well, how long might depend, like with anything else. How long would you do yoga for? How long would you read a book for? Are you practiced? Have you practiced in this way before? If you haven't, it may be that you try it once and then you leave it a week or a month or even a few months and try again. It's work, sort of going with what works for you. I would suggest that people don't breathe in this way every day, several times a day if you're new to breath work. And also, when we're having a breathwork journey with conscious connected breathwork, it might depend on how long we're breathing. So that was another question that somebody asked actually. How often, I mean, how long should I breathe in this way? How often should I breathe in this way? So yeah, I mean, they're kind of interlinked in a way. You know, how long should you breathe in the way? It could be 10 minutes, it could be 15, it could be an hour, it could be an hour and a half. How are you being supported in that breathe? How do you know when you can stop breathing in that way or want to stop breathing in that way? Do you want to be guided? What sort of, what sort of person are you? So these are all very personal questions depending on who you are and what you'd like to experience. So the other question I'm asked is what should I expect? And this is a really tricky one because each breathwork journey that we have can be totally different. I've been practicing breathwork for probably about around 8 years, I think now, something like that, maybe 9 years. And I can honestly say I've never had two breathwork journeys that have been the same. They've all been very difficult. So different, sorry, not difficult. Some have been difficult, but they've been very different. So while some journeys may have a similar theme, I have found personally that sometimes the breath takes me into different aspects of that theme and helps me maybe integrate some of those experiences, maybe even make sense of what's happened or what has led me to experience that. So it's so different every single time. I would say just drop away any expectation. So you might have heard other people have had breathwork experiences. You might have been watching videos of people that are having breathwork experiences, some of which are quite cathartic, and there's lots of arms moving and lots of noise. It doesn't mean it's going to be that way for you. It could be a very internal, gentle process. It might not be. It might be that something needs to come up vocally or in terms of movement. So yeah, expect the unexpected. Equally, please don't go into it thinking it's going to be this amazingly positive experience, and equally don't go into it feeling like it's going to be a really challenging experience that you're never going to recover from. So there's spectra is a spectrum, good, bad, and everything in between. Okay, and then another thing I'm asked from people that have done breathwork before. I've tried it before, didn't experience anything, or couldn't make sense of the experience. Actually, this could just be part of your process. So this is why we need the integration time after breath work. This is the integration for me is not to go and necessarily share with everybody what I've experienced, because that's an internal process for me and I need to make sense of what has happened, if I can make sense of it at all. And if not, the universe is very good to send us little tiny or sometimes very clear messages to help us in that process. But just give yourself time. And if you haven't experienced something before, the other thing to reflect on is it because is it because of something that happened before? Is it because of who I was with? Were you with a friend? Was it with a certain facilitator that maybe brought something up for you? Sometimes we can go into these states of resistance where we can't fully immerse ourselves in an experience because we can feel something coming, but we're too afraid, or there might be another emotion behind it, too resistant to move forward with that. Maybe we've experienced it before in another way and we haven't liked the way it felt, or maybe we don't think it's not going to compare. And the same, another question, I've breathed before, found it too difficult. Okay, let's look at why you found it difficult. And obviously there isn't, I offer group and one-to-one and couples breeds, and also small bespoke group breeds. So let's look at what you found difficult. Was it the breath you found difficult? Was it the feeling in your body of your body expanding into the breath? Maybe you found that you normally breathe quite shallow into your chest and not into your belly. Or was it actually the things that was coming up? What was it that you could hear other people around you, and that took you out of your own experience into somebody else's? Or all of that is things to explore with somebody. Again, the reason why it's helpful to work with the facilitator around this. The other thing I will mention, I've put this in a post on my socials recently, is making sure that you always see a practice agreement. And I know that one of my teachers and mentors would also say the same. Well, many of them would actually, I think all of them would actually say the same about you must make sure you see a practice agreement so you can make an informed choice about the practice and the facilitator, whether they are right for you. If it doesn't feel right, it may not be right. If you think it isn't right but need to explore it, then please speak to somebody about it. Speak to somebody who understands the practice, whether it's a friend of yours maybe that's been doing breathwork for some time. It might be a facilitator. It might even be at a workshop or a festival where there are other people that do breathwork. And also, very importantly, find somebody that you feel comfortable working with. If you meet a facilitator or practitioner and don't feel quite right around them, really reflect on that and think, is this going to be the experience that I need? It could be that there's something in that person that is bringing up something from your past where actually it could be what you need, but it might not be. Really, breathwork is all about going into the body and working with your intuitive and inner senses. So if something doesn't feel right or does feel right, go with what you need. And this is something I always encourage people to do in breathwork sessions with me, is go with what your body needs. If somebody is pushing you to do something, or if you feel like you're pushing yourself to do it, if it doesn't feel right, or if it does feel right, go with that intuition. This is your journey and this is your experience, and listen to your body and the small signs that it gives you. I hope that was helpful. Sorry if I've waffled. If I have and you haven't quite got it, you can replay or you can get in contact with me directly. Okay, thanks for listening.